disappointment. My client, Dorian Johnson, was certainly victim of Michael Brown, and adding insult to injury, we had a prosecutor who was, it's embarrassing to this community, it's frustrating, it's insulting to citizens like Dorian Johnson who have to endure this, and we just hope that justice can be served and that things don't stop here, because right now, the way things are right now, it is tragic and horrible for any citizen, particularly an African American, in this community.
How did you feel yesterday when you heard the announcement?
I was upset, very upset that, you know, we did what we supposed to do, stand up and tell what we see, and just done by any person, and speak up and stand up and be brave enough to say what you saw. And it's just sad that, you know, nothing's been done about it. And I feel like, you know, he could have did something different than kill my friend dead in the street. He could have did something different.
I want to talk a little bit about your testimony and Darren Wilson's testimony, if that's okay. And the first thing I want to say is they're actually, in the key moments, pretty remarkably consistent. I mean, a lot of the stuff that both of you are seeing, you are relaying independently to the grand jury, syncs up perfectly down to Mike handing the cigarillos to you in the midst of that altercation. You say it, Darren Wilson testified that. One big point of departure is how this all started. So I just want to read this to you. This is Officer Wilson saying, "We're right. You guys are right here. You're walking this way, right? His car's coming down Canfield Drive this way. You guys are in the street. You're in front." And he says, "Why don't you guys walk on the sidewalk?" Now, is that what he said to you?
He did not say that to me. He did not say you could walk on. He said, "Get the F on the sidewalk." That's not what I saw happen. That's not what happened.
And that's not what you testified to the grand jury.
That's not what happened.
What did you testify to the grand jury?
What he failed to mention is the manner in which he reversed his vehicle. He reversed his vehicle in a way he would have struck me and Mike Brown if we did not get out the way.
Observed this, but was not on trial for his life. Officer Wilson, who gave his self-serving grand jury testimony, was trying not to be indicted. So the similarities you're pointing out, we think, are even more evidence of why, if properly presented, this grand jury would have resulted into an indictment.
He says it was hit right here in the side of the face with a fist. You testified that Mike Brown's hands were never inside the car. You still believe that? There's some
inside the car when the first shots went off.
You fall to the ground. Is that what happened?
No.
What happened?
I was standing up. I turned and looked
and you're right next to Mike.
I'm standing right next to him. I turned and looked at him and saw that he was struck and blood was on his chest. I saw that he was struck. He had on a white shirt and blood ran down his shirt. That's how I knew that he was hit.
And what did Mike do?
We ran. That's when we ran.
And you start running in this direction down this street, right?
Correct.
You're running down this. The car is still parked here.
The car was parked there. It was another car parked here.
Okay.
It was at this time while we're running, it's other cars parked because they couldn't get past the officer.
I see. So there's been a little bit of a kind of traffic stop up, right? Because the officer's car just pulled in right here.
Yes, and now it's other cars lined so that they can't get past, but we're running. We're running past them.
When does Mike Brown stop and turn around?
Not until a second shot was fired.
Okay. Second shot is fired. Mike Brown turns around. Officer Wilson testified that he saw Mike Brown do a hop, as if like an Olympian about to do a long jump. Did you see that?
Yeah.
What was the look on Mike's face? What was his demeanor in that moment when he's now turned around to face Officer Wilson?
Pain and anger. He had already been shot. For sure, once at the car, I witnessed him being shot. The second time was iffy, but it stopped him.
The officer, Wilson, testified that his hand was in his waist as he came towards Officer Wilson.
Michael Brown.
Michael Brown.
So it wouldn't stay at his waist. Even if he did have anything at his waist, it wouldn't stay at his waist. His hands were up. He never plunged at the officer in no type of manner. He was merely trying to explain to the officer that he did not have a weapon, and why are you shooting me?
He was saying that.
He was about to say...